If you remember these TV shows, you're getting ready to retire.
Whenever I see a big pair of feet or a cheesy mustache, I'll think of you.
You got spunk. I hate spunk.
I'm one guy who ain't prejudiced against anybody who may be less superior than me.
It kind of sneaks up on you, doesn't it?
Oh, gee.
You deserve a secure, independent retirement. A retirement that is prepared to handle pitfalls like inflation, health emergencies, stock market volatility, and taxation. You've worked hard for your money and will work just as hard to protect it and grow it. Retirement planning doesn't have to be difficult. Get the facts-based approach that you deserve, all at no cost with no obligation. Call Ken Reeves, Apex Financial Group, 800-343-7989. 800-343-7989.
Advisory services are offered through Apex Financial Group, LLC. Ken Reeves and his guests provide general information, not individually targeted personalized advice, and are not liable for the usage of information discussed. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles should not be considered investment advice or a recommendation to buy or sell any of these financial vehicles. This information should also not be considered tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a professional in the fields of tax, legal, accounting, or investments regarding the applicability of this information for their situation. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. No information presented today should be acted upon without meeting with a qualified and licensed professional.
Hello everyone, this is Ken Reeves. There are plenty of questions about retirement planning, like how much income do I need? Or will it really cost $300,000 in healthcare when I retire? We'll answer some of the most common questions pre-retirees ask advisors on today's show. That and more on Retirement Max Radio.
Uncover retirement concepts you need to know.
I had people come up and ask me on a scale from 1 to 10. I thought I was a 9, and I realized I was actually a 2 or a 1.
Understand the process and challenges of retirement planning.
This is your income. This is what you're doing for the rest of your life.
A successful retirement doesn't happen by accident.
I really like solving problems. It's sort of like solving puzzles. Sometimes some of these plans are sort of like a jigsaw puzzle.
Welcome in to Retirement Max Radio with Ken Reeves.
Welcome into Retirement Max Radio. Ken Reeves is your host. You can find him at Apex Financial Group. Again, if you're listening in Birmingham, Gadsden, Montgomery, and Huntsville, folks, it is always about retirement. Ken is a member of the NEA, the National Ethics Association, has an A+ rating, Better Business Bureau, is a certified annuity specialist, certified Social Security specialist, and a certified Medicare specialist. I'm Morgan Patrick, consumer advocate. We talk retirement topics each and every week. Want you to check out the website, apexfg.com. That's for Apex Financial Group, apexfg.com. Great information there, great resource for you, so check it out. Well, we know it's important to have a solid plan in place when we retire, so we put together some answers to some of the most common questions that folks are asking advisors around the country. So, Ken, here we go. Here's the question. You're going to give me the answer. How concerned do I need to be about inflation?
Well, Morgan, inflation is a big deal, but it affects, it varies by person. So are you renting? Do you drive a good deal? Are you looking to buy a house like yours truly is? I mean, this is sort of, wrapping me up in this, Morgan. And, don't forget that the rhetoric and, the retired people, they don't live on fixed income. If nothing else, Social Security benefits increase with inflation a little bit. Now let's look at our current inflation, what we're dealing with right now. I think everybody needs to be concerned with inflation right now. I mean, it's the economy is not in the best state. Gas is very high. We mentioned, traveling a good deal. And, look at groceries, look at meatflation. Look at, if you went and purchased meat lately, it is, I think they got gold bars in it or something, Morgan.
Well, I mean, it's football season. Go to a sports bar, order some wings, and you're going to have to take out a loan to get a dozen wings. I mean, it's expensive. Well, America's Wealth Coach and best-selling author, Coach Pete D'Arruda, he weighs in on the importance of taking a holistic approach in planning for retirement and what the best defense is to emerge from this inflationary period that we're in and try to emerge unscathed, allowing for a seamless transition into retirement.
We need to be very careful about underestimating the effects of inflation, especially if we're on a limited budget where we have a certain number of dollars to spend on food each month and we can't find that any more money anywhere else. That's why it's very important that if we have a retirement plan, that we have inflation protection built into our retirement plan.
All right, there you go. America's Wealth Coach, best-selling author, Coach Pete D'Arruda, weighing in on inflation. Let's get to some more of these questions for you, Ken, when it comes to our retirement. So here we go. Is 80% of my pre-retirement income enough in retirement?
Well, Morgan, the short answer I'd say is no. So we want our clients to aim for 100% replacement of your gross pre-retirement income, but that's not possible for everybody. So, generally your Social Security will cover about 40%. That means that your retirement savings in a 401k or IRA needs to cover the other 60%. That's why it's so important to have an income plan that grows every year. And yes, you can, Morgan. You can actually have income plans in retirement when the paychecks stop to keep growing and try to keep up with inflation the best it can.
You're locked into Retirement Max Radio. Your host is Ken Reeves. You can find him at Apex Financial Group. Check out the website, apexfg.com. That's apexfg.com. There's going to be an opportunity to get on the calendar with Ken Reeves. No cost, no obligation, no pressure. Talk about where you are in your retirement planning process. That is coming up. Right now, we're going over some common questions that are coming in around the country to advisors. And here is the next one for you, Ken. If I have enough income to, quote, get by, I did the air quotes there, isn't that enough?
Well, frugal isn't fun, Morgan. Just getting by in retirement may be the reality for many people, but that shouldn't be your goal. Do you really want to be, cut back on your lifestyles, or do you want to live so close to the bone that an unexpected expense can wreck or havoc your retirement? We want people to aim higher. You just don't want to barely make it in retirement. This is supposed to be your golden years. This is supposed to be the time you're having fun. This is why having an income plan and a good financial plan, and Morgan, like we said before, having a portfolio is not an income plan. You want to be sure that portfolio in your retirement savings can help produce this so you don't have to be so frugal in retirement.
I tell you, we can garner a lot of information from these questions that are coming in from around the country that are coming into advisors on a daily basis. And here are some that we've hit already. How concerned do I need to be about inflation? Answer, you need to be very concerned. It's going to impact your retirement. And is 80% of my pre-retirement income enough in retirement? Answer, flat out no. I mean, you need to plan for more than that. And if I have enough income to just get by, isn't that enough? Folks, it is going to be a tough way to go if you are just squeezing by in retirement. Make sure you plan for it. Get started as early as possible. Next question that's coming in around the country to a lot of advisors. What is discretionary spending?
Well, Morgan, discretionary spending is what makes retirement enjoyable, so plan for it. Whatever you dream of doing is discretionary, so whether it's travel, hobbies, dining out, or just collecting stuff, or helping your children, this is all discretionary spending. So just take it all the unnecessary spending, so to speak, playing golf, going to the beauty salon, all this good stuff besides your bills, that's discretionary spending.
We are talking about questions that are coming into advisors from around the country. People are very concerned about what's going on with the economy, and these are just some of the questions that are coming in. Next question up, how important is my budget?
Morgan, we talk about that probably on a weekly basis at some point during the show, and I would say the budget is probably one of your most important things. Going into a pre-retirement budget versus a post-retirement budget, knowing what you're going to need to spend, and what kind of money or outflow you have going into retirement is vitally important. And how you do that is by creating that budget, and also create a post-retirement budget. So we help our clients a lot with that, Morgan, help get them on the right track, help them consolidate and sort of see where they are. So planning definitely needs to involve a good budget.
Absolutely. Budget, the big B word. Need to stay on top of that. Retirement Max Radio with Ken Reeves. Thank you for listening. We talk retirement each and every week. We also give you an opportunity to get on the calendar with Ken. And this is about your retirement. This is a conversation. It is no cost, no obligation, and there is no pressure. We're going to open up those spots here in just a little bit as we go through these common questions that advisors are getting across the country from people that are trying to get started with their planning, or maybe they're in the middle of something and they're getting, a second opinion. So here's the next question for you, Ken. And it's, again, these are from around the country. I've heard you spend less in retirement. Is that true?
Well, Morgan, surveys often show that spending does decline in retirement. So if you ask someone that's been retired for 5 years or more, they often say that spending doesn't drop that much. Life still happens and can be expensive. Again, aim for 100% replacement of your pre-retirement income, as we spoke about earlier. Keep in mind, for all of our pre-retirees and people that are fixing to go into retirement, that first 3 years is vitally crucial, and sticking with the budget, because think about this, Morgan. These people are no longer working. They're not hanging out with their friends anymore, at least at work, and their peers, and they get bored. And so with boredom comes excessive spending sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, every day's Saturday. It's go, 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 right? The early years in retirement. So make sure you have that budget and you stick to it. So this next question, and I hear this one quite a bit. We've seen these numbers. We've talked about these numbers before on the show. Will I really spend $300,000 on health care in retirement?
Well, spending on healthcare varies widely from one retiree to the next. Plus, that $300,000 figure mostly represent years of Medicare and Medigap premiums. Forecast your property tax or rental payments for the next 30 years, and you'll get a big number for those too. So just keep in mind, that we do know as you age, you're going to be in the hospital more, and also you're going to have more and higher medical bills.
Retirement Max Radio, Ken Reeves, your host. Check out the website. It is a great resource for you, apexfg.com. That's apexfg.com. Going to be an opportunity to get on the counter with Ken Reeves, talk about your retirement situation. You can ask questions of Ken about where you sit in your planning process. If you haven't started, great time to do it. Or if you're in the middle of something, it's called a second opinion. Next question up. Again, these are questions coming in from around the country to advisors from the East Coast all the way out to the West Coast. And here it is. And we've already talked about this in the last couple of months. Is longevity risk that big a deal?
Well, Morgan, the longer you live, the longer you can expect to live. For a 65-year-old man today, life expectancy is about age 84, while at age 75, it's 87. So longevity means more inflation and more time for unexpected stuff to happen. It's another good argument for starting a retirement with excess income.
Last question for you. Again, these are questions coming in from around the country to advisors, and I'm sure you're getting this in your office as well. And here it is. When is the right time to claim Social Security?
Well, Morgan, everybody's uniquely different in this situation. It all depends on longevity, how much, income you need. So when people come into the office, this is one of the first things we do, right? We know that this income is going to be coming in for 99% of the people. So we do a deep dive and we evaluate when the best time for Social Security is based on your individual needs.
Now's the time. We've got spots on the calendar with Ken Reeves, Apex Financial Group. Ken, we've got the 5 positions available right now. What's going to happen for these 5 callers?
Well, if you're one of the next 5 callers, we can give you some clarity, one of the most vital issues of your retirement life. So here's what you'll get. You'll get analysis of your current investment and retirement plan. Remember, 401ks and portfolios aren't retirement plans. We'll see where you are versus where you want to be. This will include a comprehensive, non-biased Morningstar report on your current situation, as well as recommendations on simple tweaks and changes that could be made to increase your chances of retirement income success. You'll also receive access to our latest investment and asset allocation recommendations based on a special 401k modern rollover guide. Be sure to ask the operator for this special offer. In addition, you'll get a personalized long-term financial retirement income plan, something we like to call the triple play, to help you reach your goals. Confidence is a powerful tool. Don't approach retirement without it.
All right, we've got 5 positions on the calendar with Ken Reeves, and they are available right now. Call this number, 800-343-7989. That's 800-343-7989. You can also text the word PLAN to that very same number, 800-343-7989. So 800-343-7989. Grab one of those 5 spots. You can also text PLAN to that very same number, 800-343-7989. Coming up on the program, Retirement Max Radio, sometimes we have to face things head on. Long-term care is one of them. And when we come back, we'll go over some alternatives to long-term care insurance. That's coming up next.
Life's about choosing where you want to go and mapping out a financial path to get you there. Of course, things don't always go according to plan. An experienced financial advisor can help you avoid potential hazards and find alternative routes. The right financial advisor is not only there for the journey, but also helps you plan for what's coming, make adjustments along the way, and keep you on track to reach your specific goals. Are you on the road to success? Contact us for a complimentary review and find out. Call Ken Reeves, Apex Financial Group, 800-343-7989. 800-343-7989.
Welcome back into Retirement Max Radio, hosted by Ken Reeves, Apex Financial Group. He's a member of the NEA, National Ethics Association, has an A+ rating, Better Business Bureau, certified annuity specialist, certified Social Security specialist, and a certified Medicare specialist. I'm Morgan Patrick, consumer advocate. We get into the topics each and every week. You get an opportunity, no cost, no obligation, no pressure, to get on the calendar with Ken Reeves at Apex Financial Group. Talk about your retirement situation. If you have not started planning, great time to do it. If you are in the middle of something, it's called a second opinion. Got a great website for you. Check it out. Great resource, apexfg.com. That's apexfg.com. Well, if you think you don't have to worry about long-term care, you got to think again. Typically, women need long-term care a little bit longer, 3.7 years on average, than men at 2.2 years. And while about 1/3 of the people who are 65 may never need long-term care, 20% of them will need it longer than 5 years. So are you ready for that? Starting the process can be a little unnerving, and here, for some insight, Arvette Reed, the Client Services Director at Signature Estate and Investment Advisors.
Most financial professionals talk about planning for college or planning for a home renovation when you're younger, or maybe planning for retirement or your legacy, but no one really says how to plan for healthcare expenses. And it falls in that weird like emergency bucket in the same pool as like replacing your roof, when really it shouldn't. So I like to encourage people to start making that healthcare emergency fund earlier than later.
All right. Again, that's Arvette Reed, Client Services Director, Signature Estate and Investment Advisors. Ken, I'm guessing you're in agreement with that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the more money that you can start, putting in a sock ahead of that, the better. You don't want to get into some kind of situations where now you're having to drain that because of long-term care issues. And that's something that we do discuss with our clients and people that just come in for analysis and reviews. We want to see where that is. And they also get to see the dangers of that, of not having it.
I'll tell you, folks, it is a concern. We are living longer, and you also need to think about, and a lot of people want to, kind of turn away from it because it is the end game. We're all going to get there one day. Make sure you are planning for it. So again, alternatives to long-term care insurance, because those premiums can be sky high. So let's get into some of the options. So a life insurance policy with a long-term care rider. I've heard of this. What do you know about that?
Well, Morgan, this is becoming more and more popular, and long-term care insurance, they keep going up, and there's a lot of insurance carriers that are actually getting out of the business, and due to that, there's some different alternatives, and life insurance with a rider is actually a very, very good one. So you can purchase a life insurance policy that has a rider attached to that. Most of these are to permanent policies. So, if you don't ever need your long-term care or you don't lose two activities of daily living, you get the death benefit, or not you, but your beneficiaries get the death benefit. And you can also access that same amount of money depending on the policy for long-term care needs. That way you're not really wasting your money. It all goes to one of the two things.
Folks, we talk about retirement planning, and there's so many different pieces to the puzzle. Make sure you have them all. Make sure they fit snugly together. We get into these conversations. You're going to have questions about your situation. We also give you an opportunity to get on the calendar with Ken Reeves at Apex Financial Group, and you can have this conversation. You can talk about it. No cost, no obligation, no pressure. See where you are in your planning process. And if you got questions about long-term care, we're going over that right now because there are alternatives to long-term care insurance because those premiums are through the roof. So a life insurance policy with a long-term care rider, that's a possibility. Ken, what about an asset-based policy?
So asset-based policies are a hybrid of life insurance and long-term care insurance. It's just not a rider attached to it. You need to have some cash on hand to fund an asset-based policy. Such policies typically allow you to avoid some of the problems of traditional long-term care insurance, such as significantly higher premiums. If you decide you no longer want the policy, many asset-based policies will return all or a portion of those premiums and give you your cash back. Now, Morgan, on these last two items that we just went over for these hybrid policies, especially with this one, I actually had a client in Florida. She was a business owner, had a very, very large policy, and they actually set this policy up as for an income stream during retirement because it can generate a tax-free income stream. But this is what kind of policy it was. Less than 1 year later, she ended up being diagnosed with MS. And this particular insurance company paid her and her family out over $1 million. So they definitely work, and they're definitely worth it.
Talking about alternatives to long-term care insurance, premiums are high. What can you do? A life insurance policy, long-term care rider, possibility. Asset-based policy, another way to go. And I'm going to say the A word on the radio, Ken, and a lot of people do have that shock sound when I say annuity, but that's an option.
It is. So they're getting more and more popular, especially as a alternative to long-term care. And I know people are saying, what does that mean? I mean, how does that happen? So many of these annuities, especially fixed index annuities right now, Morgan, they have riders that are built in, and they don't cost, or the clients or the owners or contract owners anything in most cases. And I said that's not true in 99.9% of them. Now, other than variable, you get charged for everything. So if you have a variable annuity, run for the hills or cry if you own it. It's just one of the two. But what happens with these things, Morgan, is let's say, down the road, 6 years into this contract and you're taking income from it and you lose 2 activities of daily living or you get confined to a nursing home. Well, your insurance, it starts the insurance product of that starts kicking in, and it will double your income. So let's say you're making $25,000 a year off of your annuities, just like a pension. Once that triggers, Morgan, the clients will then start receiving $50,000 in most cases. So it will double that income, and that'll happen depending on the policy or the contract for 5 years until the income basis is used up. So that is a massive benefit. It doesn't replace long-term care insurance, but it certainly does take some of that burden off if you don't have it.
I tell you, and it could be a big burden. Retirement Max Radio with Ken Reeves, Apex Financial Group. Check them out online, apexfg.com. We are talking about long-term care insurance and some alternatives to that because the premiums are very high. So we've talked about a life insurance policy with long-term care rider, also an asset-based policy, and the annuity. So next up, this is an alternative for you. You can just save more money for your long-term care. Put that money away and be ready for it.
Yeah, we don't see a whole lot of people do that, but if you have a large nest egg or a significant pension, you might be able to pay for long-term care out of pocket. Look at long-term care and local costs to determine whether you'll have the financial ability to hire someone to come to your home if necessary. So, also realize if you don't have some kind of long-term care insurance, the long-term care insurance, Morgan, isn't actually to protect the client itself. It's actually to protect the asset for the heirs. So say you have a small estate or a large estate for that matter, and you get into some kind of cognitive issue, dementia, Alzheimer's, whatever it may be, that can last more than 3 years. It can last 15 years. Well, that becomes a very, very expensive health issue, correct? I mean, it just does. It's terribly expensive. And in a lot of cases, what our clients are having to do and what people are having to do, I've seen in the past, is start to sell off property and estates just to pay for that. So it's vitally important that you have some kind of long-term care or some kind of hybrid plan in place to keep that from happening.
I tell you, folks, having a plan for retirement, we talk about, the X's and O's, the dollar amounts, what you're going to need as you move through into, to retirement, and you want to be comfortable, but there are so many different elements that go into retirement. Long-term care is a big consideration. We have have been talking about, again, alternatives to long-term care insurance because it can be very, very expensive. Again, a life insurance policy with a long-term care rider, worth the conversation. Maybe an asset-based policy might be for you. Take a look at annuities. There may be a situation that could help you out in the long-term care portion of that. And then if you have enough funds in your retirement accounts, you may be able to just put money away for your long-term care. But again, very, very expensive. Retirement Max Radio, Ken Reeves is your host. Now's the opportunity to get on the calendar with Ken. Now listen, this is no cost, no obligation, and again, no pressure. See where you are in your planning process. If you've got long-term care questions, this would be a great time to ask them. Look at your different options that are out there. If you have not started planning, this is a perfect opportunity to get in there and kind of kick the tires, get to know Ken, ask a lot of questions. And again, it's no cost, no obligation, and no pressure. If you're in the middle of something and you just aren't getting feedback from your current advisor or advisory team, get a second opinion, have a different set of eyes on there. And again, if you're good, you're going to be told you're good. But again, if you're told to pivot, might be a good opportunity to do that. So we have 5 positions on the calendar with Ken Reeves at Apex Financial Group. Ken, tell them what's going to happen for the first 5 callers.
Well, Morgan, it all boils down to the fact that all the pieces of your financial puzzle, they must fit together. So give us a call now and set up an initial no-cost consultation. We'll walk through all the different puzzle pieces that you need to consider. For instance, Social Security. What age did you start taking the benefit, and how does it fit into your overall picture? The next thing we'll look at is risk. How much are you willing to take in your portfolio, and is the amount of risk appropriate for your age and the amount of return you're actually getting? And then lastly, we'll look at an income plan. If you have an income plan in place, we want to be sure that you're not in danger of running out of money and you end up living 30 or 40 more years in retirement. It doesn't matter, Morgan, if they live in Mobile, Atlanta, Huntsville, Montgomery, or just right here in Birmingham. Our initial consultation can be over the phone or computer or in person. Give us a call. We're here to help. All callers can request a copy of our publication, How to Retire Worry-Free. Just tell our operator.
All right, we've got a phone number for you, 800-343-7989. That's 800-343-7989. You can also text the word plan to that very same number. That's 800-343-7989. Again, there's no cost, no obligation, no pressure. Get a feel for where you are in your retirement planning process. Find out what your investments are really costing you and high fees and commissions, what the future tax implications are going to be, and how much income you can securely generate from that once you do move into retirement. There are a lot of questions, but you need to have a plan. Make sure your puzzle pieces fit together and fit together well. Call the number. We've got 5 spots, 800-343-7989. That's 800-343-7989, or text plan to that very same number, 800-343-7989. Coming up on the program, good or bad, we are creatures of habit. And when we come back, we're going to tackle some of the bad habits to break as you enter into the 5 or 10-year stretch before retirement.
You've worked all your life, you've saved, you've followed all the rules. Now it's time to retire. Here's the question. Who do you want relaxing and taking it easy? Your nest egg or you? Well, of course you want to relax and travel and enjoy. And nest egg? You've got more work to do. For a retirement that maximizes your portfolio, your Social Security, avoids unnecessary risk, protects you from pitfalls, and frankly, lets you retire and keeps the nest egg working, you need a retirement partner. You need someone looking out for your best interests and building a plan for you based on your situation. Call Ken Reeves at 800-343-7989 or text EASY to 800-343-7989. That's 800-343-7989 or text EASY to 800-343-7989.
Retirement Max Radio, hosted by Ken Reeves, Apex Financial Group, where you can find him during the week. And if you're out there and you're listening in Birmingham, Gadsden, Montgomery, Huntsville, folks, it's always about retirement. And Ken's going to give you an opportunity to get on his calendar, talk about your situation. Again, no cost, no obligation, and no pressure. I'm Morgan Patrick, consumer advocate. A little bit more about Ken A-plus rating Better Business Bureau at the office. He's a member of the NEA, National Ethics Association. Also a certified annuity specialist, certified Social Security specialist, and a certified Medicare specialist. We get into the topics each and every week, and we also open up those slots on the calendar with Ken Reeves. No cost, no obligation, and no pressure. Great reference website for you. Check out apexfg.com. That's apexfg.com. So to ensure you're not coming up short on retirement savings, or worse, you're just sabotaging your future retirement, you need to get rid of some bad habits. And here they are. And the first one, Ken, spending now rather than saving for later.
Yeah, so it's easy to say I'll start saving when, and you probably don't know when that'll happen. After all, finding room in your budget to save for retirement might not seem as important when bills are due. But if you take a good look at spending, you can find ways to trim the fat so that you can set aside money for future and actual retire someday. So that's where this budget, Morgan, comes really, really handy, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Got to have that budget. So, folks, we are talking about, again, these bad habits that you need to get rid of, underestimating how much you're going to need to retire.
Well, maybe you're already keeping your spending under control so you can save for retirement, right? But your efforts may not pay off if you haven't bothered to figure out how much you'll need to live comfortably in retirement. So working with an advisor like Apex Financial Group to map out your spending and income plan can make a positive difference as you go into retirement. We see people, Morgan, all the time, how confident they are once they come in and they meet with us and they understand that they have a solid path to retirement.
Again, bad habits to get rid of. If you're doing some of these, you need to figure out a way to pull that plane out of the nosedive. So if you're spending now rather than saving for later, that's a bad habit you need to break. If you're underestimating how much you're going to need to retire, you need to pad that a little bit more. What about misunderstanding what diversification means?
Well, you've heard that your portfolio should be diversified, right? I mean, I think we've all heard this at some point in our life. So as you make your investment choices for your 401k, you might think that it's a good idea to spread your money across the 10 best funds. These funds might have a good track record because they were invested in the same sort of stocks or bonds that performed well recently, right? But understanding what diversification means really takes some of the risk off the table. How much risk can you take? It's okay to have a little bit of risk as long as you're not, in jeopardy of losing what is going to create your income stream during retirement.
Retirement Max Radio, hosted by Ken Reeves. We are talking about some bad habits. If you're doing these, you need to break them, get rid of them. There's going to be an opportunity to get on the calendar with Ken. No cost, no obligation, and no pressure. Sit down, Apex Financial Group, talk about your retirement situation. If you haven't started planning, this is an excellent opportunity to do that. You can kick the tires, ask a lot of questions. If you're in the middle of something and you need a second opinion, one of the spots on the calendar with Ken Reeves could be for you. There's also a large group of us that sit out there on our portfolios and think that we've got it made in the shade for retirement. Folks, that is not a plan. If you listen to this program, you will understand there's a lot that goes into retirement planning. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of puzzle pieces we talk about on a daily basis. You really need to have the puzzle pieces that fit well together. So when you step back from your puzzle, man, that is a good looking retirement. So these are bad habits that we're trying to stay away from, or if we're doing them, break them. So if you're spending more now and not saving for later, you got to change that. If you're underestimating how much you're actually going to need to retire, you need to pad that up somewhat, add some funds to it. If you're misunderstanding what diversification means, you really need to educate yourself there. What about saving only when the market is doing well?
Well, if you're only setting aside money in a retirement account when the market is up, it means you're paying a premium because the stock prices are higher, not lower. Rather than try just to time the market, you should have a set amount deferred from every paycheck to your retirement account, no matter what. And so these increases can still, you can still take advantage of these increases when they happen. Right now, if you're still in your 401k, you can reallocate that, somewhat to a little, so you're not taking such a beating, but don't just stop contributing and only contribute when the market's doing well. You're going to certainly miss out on a lot of returns in the long run.
All right. On the flip side of that, Ken, this next bad habit, and a lot of people are guilty of this one. If you overreact to market volatility. And we've seen a lot of it in the last 6 months.
No doubt. So it's hard not to be tempted to pull out all your money out of stocks when the market downturns and it deals a blow to your retirement. But this is just the one time that you don't need to put the brakes on and use your emotions immediately, right? And a lot of this depends on how close you are to retirement. History shows that the market will bounce back. So will you have time to bounce back, Morgan, say in 6 months from now? We don't know. But what if you're 50 years old? Well, you're probably going to be able to recoup that, right? And that's sort of what we go over with our clients as they're going into this. We don't want to see all the volatility, and we don't want to see our pre-retirees lose their money. So there's some portfolio options that we can actually look at in the case of market volatility.
Ken Reeves. Again, you can find Ken at Apex Financial Group. He is the host of Retirement Max Radio. We talk each and every week about different topics when it comes to retirement. But the overall picture and the overall message is you need to have a plan. It is not an easy road to walk. You really need to have those what-if scenarios and plan for them, because a lot of things can happen on your way to retirement. And when you're in retirement, make sure your plan is thinking about all of those things and planning for them as well. We're talking about the bad habits. If you're doing some of these, you need to break them, need to stay away from them. Talking about spending now rather than saving for later. Underestimating how much you're going to actually need in retirement. And then misunderstanding what diversification means. Saving only when the market is doing well. And this last one, overreacting to market volatility. You really need to break these bad habits. And here's another bad habit. If you put your contributions to your accounts on autopilot, you could be making mistakes.
Yeah, so you don't want to pull your money out of your retirement account when the market's down, or only invest when it's up. I think we previously just mentioned that. If your retirement plan doesn't automatically increase your contribution rate annually, do it yourself. You might be losing out on some opportunities. So most experts recommend saving at least 10 to 15% of wages annually. If you can't contribute that much, be sure you're setting aside enough in your 401k to get any matching contributions from your employer. Then set aside more each year as your income rises.
Talking about bad habits to break, staying away, breaking bad, as they say. So you need to stay away from these as we move towards retirement. What about making only pre-tax retirement contributions?
Well, you can get an immediate tax benefit by contributing pre-tax dollars to a 401k or 403b or similar plan, because this lowers your taxable income. And contributions to traditional IRA or SEPs can also be tax deductible. This approach, however, overlooks the fact when you withdraw money from the retirement plan, it will all be taxed as ordinary income. If you think your tax bracket will be higher by the time you reach retirement, it may make sense to invest in a Roth IRA. You don't get an upfront tax break with a Roth IRA, but withdrawals in retirement are magically tax-free.
Like the tax-free. Again,
Love it.
Talking bad habits you need to break. If you're doing these as you're heading towards retirement, you really need to pivot. We have talked about so far spending now rather than saving for later. Bad habit. Underestimating how much you're going to need to retire. Need to get off of that. Need to pad that up. Misunderstanding what diversification means. So educate yourself. Saving only when the market is doing well. Another bad habit. Overreacting to market volatility. Also bad. And putting contributions on autopilot, you need to stay away from that. And making only pre-tax retirement contributions, that can come back to absolutely bite you. Again, these are just some of the bad habits out there. And if you're doing them, you need to make some changes. And folks, you're probably saying, wow, I haven't even started planning. Well, it might be a good idea to get started. And speaking of that, we have 5 positions on the calendar with Ken Reeves at Apex Financial Group. We're opening them up right now for the upcoming week. And this is no cost, no obligation, and there is no pressure. See where you are in your planning process. And again, folks, if you are in the middle of something, get that second opinion. So Ken, we have the 5 positions. What's going to happen for these 5 callers?
Well, Morgan, I'm very passionate about my belief that our listeners deserve a secure, independent retirement, and that we offer a no-cost, no-obligation consultation to our regular listeners to help keep you on that path. This consultation will help you determine how prepared you are to handle retirement pitfalls like inflation, health emergencies, stock market volatility, and taxation. You worked hard for your money, so we'll work just as hard to protect and to grow it. There are a wide variety of tools and services available in the financial world. We'll show you how to harness these tools and service to create a plan that's tailored just for you. We'll also show you how to achieve a lifetime of security thanks to a lifetime of income. So let's get to work now and get a facts-based approach that you deserve to get better answers to your financial challenges and objectives. All callers can request a copy of our publication, How to Retire Worry-Free. Just ask our operator.
All right, we got 5 positions available right now. Here's the number, 800-343-7989. That's 800-343-7989. You can also text PLAN to that very same number, 800-343-7989. Again, 5 positions, no cost, no obligation, no pressure. We are so proud to be shedding light on so many different topics when it comes to retirement. We know you've got questions, and now you can get some answers. And again, this is complimentary. So get in here, take advantage of these 5 positions, and meet with Ken Reeves. 800-343-7989. That's 800-343-7989. Or you can text PLAN to that very same number, 800-343-7989. Coming up on the program, getting to retirement is as much about spending as it is about saving. We're going to explain what that means when we come back on Retirement Max Radio.
Many of us look forward to the day we retire. We look forward to having more time to spend with our families, enjoying every day, and maybe even taking that dream vacation out on the open road. Don't let the fear of uncertainty turn your retirement dream into a retirement nightmare. We can help you see how much risk you're taking, those potential red flags that could cause problems for you down the road, such as tax liability, as well as the big one, folks. How much are you paying in fees or commissions with your current plan or advisor? Call Ken Reeves with Apex Financial Group at 800-343-7989 or text the keyword EASY to 800-343-7989. We've made it easy, folks. All you have to do is call or text the keyword EASY to 800-343-7989.
You're locked into Retirement Max Radio. It's Ken Reeves. He's your host. You can find him at Apex Financial Group, apexfg.com on the World Wide Web. Great information there for you. Great resource website, apexfg.com. Again, Ken is a member of the NEA, the National Ethics Association. He has an A-plus rating, Better Business Bureau. He's a certified annuity specialist, certified Social Security specialist, and a certified Medicare specialist. I'm Morgan Patrick, consumer advocate. We hit the topics each and every week, and we also give you an opportunity, no cost, no obligation, no pressure, to get on the counter with Ken Reeves at Apex Financial Group and talk about your retirement situation. And that situation might be, hey, you haven't started planning, great opportunity. Or you're in the middle of something, but you've got questions, you're not getting the feedback you want, get a second opinion. All right, here we go. As you close in on retirement, very important to figure out how much you are spending and how much you make, how you can make that last. And just because you've saved $1 million doesn't mean it's going to last you. So, you got to stick to a budget because it can go very, very quickly. So let's talk about it. And again, we're going to talk about how you can save while you spend, I guess. Get a handle. Here's the first one. Get a handle on how much you're spending right now while you're still bringing in the paycheck.
Well, you can get a rough idea simply by subtracting how much you save versus how much you earn. But you'll get a much more accurate picture if you track every penny you spend for at least 2 to 3 months. That includes everything from bills that you must pay, which is your mortgage, insurance, car payments, to those are discretionary, like dining out, expensive bottle of wines, gifts for your kids, wife or grandkids. So this process is often eye-opening and sometimes just downright embarrassing when people realize where their money is actually going. Just think about how many times people go to Starbucks, and get some of those expensive coffees, Morgan. And it's really
come on, Ken. Come on, Ken. What's your go-to? It's got to be a foo-foo drink. Is it a foo-foo drink?
No, actually, I go to Scooters. That's my go-to. It is. So I'm guilty. I'm seriously, I'm guilty of this, but I'm not as close to retirement as a lot of our listeners are too. So it is actually my favorite coffee, like their medium roast with heavy whipping cream.
Nice.
Oh my gosh. Yes, it's good. I might go get one.
That's awesome.
After the show.
I tell you, talking about things getting a handle on how much you're spending now while you still have that job, you still have that paycheck coming in. These are tips to help you out because you're going to find out very quickly when the paycheck stops, your expenses are going to continue and your money can dwindle quite quickly if you haven't planned well. So this is all about planning. So we've talked about getting a handle on how much you're spending. So kind of, start jotting that down. Keep a journal while you're still employed and where that money's going. As Ken said, how many times you go to the foo-foo coffee shop and spend some money. And look, we are all about supporting local business. Absolutely. But if you're going 6 times a week, maybe you dial that back a notch or two. What about setting goals for the future and prioritizing, right now in the present?
Well, think about what you want your life to look back when you're retired. So based on your spending now, what will it cost to make that happen? Some expenses will be reduced when you stop working, but others, such as healthcare, will likely increase as you age. So be realistic, set goals, set priorities, and set that budget that we always talk about, Morgan.
Talking about how much you're spending as you get close to retirement. So, you're 10. So let's say 10 years out, that red zone we talk about all the time. Kind of figure out what's going on. Get a handle on how much you're spending now while you're still working.
It's sort of like being in that red zone football, don't you think, Morgan? Like, we're football season. We can relate, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're within that 20-yard line.
Yeah,
we're ready to go.
We want to score the touchdown. We're right there. We're 10 years away. We're in that red area. So, things we need to be concerned about. So set the goals for the future and really kind of put, what's going on in the present as a priority. And then, if you are a couple out there, you really need to kind of sit down, get on the same page and basically come clean as a team, as they say.
Oh, yeah. So if you're married, it's important to come clean with each other about, the things you spend your money on. So Morgan, he thinks that grocery costs $50 a week, and she has no idea what a round of golf costs. So we'll just keep that under mine and your hood there. We don't want to actually reveal that, right? So you should be budgeting for everything from Christmas gifts to cable packages. And it's important that you agree on those priorities. And Morgan, I'm not kidding you. Sometimes, I've had couples, in an office and I had to put on a counselor's hat, or you just want to, they get into it, right? And you just want to crawl up under the table because they don't communicate with each other. They haven't communicated with each other until they get to the office. So, hey, if you're going to come in and set an appointment, y'all two get together and y'all have this conversation and sort of figure out what you have before you come see us, okay?
You remember those old, what were they, Whammo blow-up boxing gloves where you put your hands in them?
Gotta get some.
You need to have those in the office and just say, as a friendly joke, just say, look, we understand you guys aren't on the same page. We're going to go out and take a 5-minute break. Here, you guys work it out. No, I'm kidding. But no, I mean,
I'm not. That'd be cool. How cool would that be to have the only retirement show in Birmingham, Morgan, where you can actually come duke it out? Like, I might actually sell tickets to that. You don't think that'll work?
I don't know. People might actually buy tickets to that. But anyway, we don't want to turn this into an MMA event, but it is retirement planning. You really need to be on the same page. If you're a married couple and you're headed towards retirement, make sure you know what each other is doing and you agree with that. And then this last one is it's never too late to start really looking at a budget. It's never too early to start looking at a budget. Just kind of know where the money's going.
Right. So if you begin 10 or 20 years out, it gives you time to recover from, a slow start or an irresistible one, right? Or you may find out that you're in better shape than you thought, and you don't have to worry quite so much about your retirement future.
Retirement Max Radio, Ken Reeves is your host. We are talking about, again, these are tips as you are getting closer to retirement, just things that you need to be really aware of. I mean, get a handle on how much you're spending now while you're still working. Also, set those goals for the future, and also really take a look at what you're doing right now and make that a priority and make sure those goals fit in there. Come clean with, everything that's going on. If it's a couple situation, what the husband's doing, what the wife's doing, and as far as finances, make sure you're on the same page there. And again, have that budget. Never too late to start budgeting and never too early. These things are going to help you as you get closer to retirement. Well, we have time on the program today for a question. Are you ready for it, Ken?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. Listener question. This is Tyler. He's in Hoover. Here's the question. What advantages do exchange-traded funds have over mutual funds?
Well, Tyler, so there's 4 common advantages of ETFs over mutual funds, including the following. So tax-free investing. So unlike mutual fund, ETFs are very tax efficient. So there's no investment minimum. So many mutual funds have minimums investment requirements of $2,500, $3,000, or even $5,000. ETFs, on the other hand, can be purchased for as little as 1 share. And then you also have low cost alternatives. So the average mutual fund still has an initial cost well over 1%, whereas most ETF funds will have an internal expense ratio typically between 0.3% and 0.9%. And the lastly, but not least, you'll have more trading control with these. So mutual funds are traded once per day at the closing net asset value, or the NAV price. ETFs trade on an exchange all throughout the trading day, just like stocks.
Folks, important to, have a plan. I mean, I love taking the questions. You got to get a sense of what's going on out there. Everybody's got different questions when it comes to their retirement, and it's time to get those answers. So the opportunity is presenting itself. We have 5 positions on the calendar with Ken Reeves at Apex Financial Group, and this is no cost, no obligation, and simply no pressure. And this is an opportunity to sit down, ask those questions. If you have not started planning, this is a perfect opportunity. And really, if you are in the middle of something and you have questions, if you're working with an advisor or a group of advisors, an advisory team, and you're not getting the feedback that you need, get a second opinion. There are so many of you out there that feel like once you've committed, you can't change. That is not true. You can get a second opinion. One of the spots on the calendar with Ken Reeves can be for you. And there's another group of you that have this wonderful portfolio, but you don't have a plan. I mean, have you thought about, how much is at risk in that portfolio? Have you thought about the tax implications? If you're in an employee plan, if you're in that 401k, that is tax deferred, and the IRS is going to come for its money. Make sure you have a tax plan as you move towards your retirement date. These are all things that can be discussed when you sit down with Ken Reeves at Apex Financial Group, and this is no cost, no obligation, and simply no pressure. We have 5 spots. Ken, let's talk about how that visit's going to go for these 5 callers.
Well, Morgan, financial service firms are not all the same. With expertise in financial planning, tax reduction strategies, and insurance, we're able to recommend products, services, and strategies to maximize your financial success. The Design, Build, Protect is our special scientific strategy system. Investments have an impact on taxes, and taxes have an impact on investments. Managing one without the view of the other means you could be paying too much. Our approach enables you to look at each person's unique financial situation and make recommendations tailored to their specific needs. You'll see for yourself how this approach to planning can help make a difference for you and your family. We believe that integrity is everything. All financial firms have a high standard of ethics, but our firm has been built around the core principles that guide us through our daily recommendations and our relationship. Our focus is doing right by you. There's no cookie cutter approach to your finances. We manage each client as an individual, just as we manage our own affairs. Morgan, how can they get on the books?
All right, here we go. We got 5 positions. Apex Financial Group. Meet with Ken Reeves. No cost, no obligation, no pressure. Here is the number: 800-343-7989. That's 800-343-7989, or you can text the word plan to that very same number, 800-343-7989. Again, it's no cost, no obligation, and simply no pressure. Get a better handle on your retirement situation. If you haven't started planning, jump on it. If you need a second opinion, one of the spots for you as well. Again, the number, 800-343-7989, or you can text plan to 800-343-7989. Another show in the books. We'll be back on the radio next week.
Advisory services are offered through Apex Financial Group, LLC. Ken Reeves and his guests provide general information, not individually targeted personalized advice, and are not liable for the usage of information discussed. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles should not be considered investment advice or a recommendation to buy or sell any of these financial vehicles. This information should also not be considered tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a professional in the fields of tax, legal, accounting, or investments regarding the applicability of this information for their situation. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. No information presented today should be acted upon without meeting